Welcome to Women in Art, Arc of Power, an annotated timeline by Dawn Buxton for Why Art Matters, Art History 1002. Since the beginning of time, the female form has conveyed several themes in art. From prehistoric figures to ancient history, with the Renaissance and the modern era, the power of women has flowed like the tides. The intention of the female body and the status of women in society at the time of creation have drawn an arc of power through time. In prehistoric times, the naked female form looms large in the precious artifacts that have been discovered. Female power radiates from these two artworks. Both are not defined by their facial features, but by their sexual characteristics. The great breasts of the Venus of Willendorf on left seem ample enough to sustain us through any famine. This woman is an ample and beautiful protectress of life. The vagina is a human portal into this world, and it has mystical significance too. The Cycladic figure at right is aloof, arms crossed, but still we feel her power. In ancient Egyptian times, the female form now conveys political power. Pharaoh Menkaure, or Mycerinus, and his queen proudly stand before their subjects. Clearly the pharaoh needed his queen to rule beside him. At right, Queen Nefertiti is the most famous face of Egypt. Her regal and elegant face portray a powerful woman, the wife of Akhenaten and the mother of Tutankhamun. In ancient Egyptian times, the female form now conveys political power. Pharaoh Menkaure, or Mycerinus. In ancient Greece, female gods wield great power. Not only are the Greek goddesses immortal, they're physically perfect. The Nike of Samothrace is also called Winged Victory of Samothrace. The sculpture not only represents the goddess Nike, it honors a sea battle. She is worshipped in the Greek pantheon and also stands for triumph in battle. So proud, she flies forward and cannot be held back. Aphrodite at right was the Greek goddess of love, beauty, pleasure, and procreation. Aphrodite becomes a favorite subject of artists of the Renaissance. Though she is naked, her gaze still reminds us that she is immortal. This frieze reminds us of the role that goddesses held for the Greek peoples. Here we see Demeter and Persephone standing over a nude human youth. The artwork depicts the gift of grain to Triptolemos so he may teach other men how to cultivate grain. Observe the differences in the size of the goddesses to the man. They are clothed, and they look down upon him. There is no question that these two female gods are powerful and important to the Greek people. With the rise of the Christian faith, the status of women in society begins to change. So too does the depiction of women in art. In the Middle Ages, no longer do we see a pantheon of immortal goddesses or powerful queens. Now art is filled with the fragile and gentle Madonnas, the mother of Christ. The Madonna is beseeched for comfort and forgiveness, but she only has power through her child. The Netherlands art of the late Middle Ages prided itself in depicting life as real as it was seen, luxurious interiors, natural light, and realistic faces. Their art also clearly depicts the role of women in Dutch society. In this painting by Jan van Eyck, we see Giovannini di Niccolao Arnolfini at his wedding. Here is a man proud to own fine clothes, a well-furnished room, and own a beautiful young wife. The Renaissance begins with the return of the Greek and Roman pantheon. Venus, known as Aphrodite by the Greeks, is shown here in her birth from the sea. But something has changed too with our goddess of beauty. She now hides her nakedness and seems fragile. She passively waits to be clothed. Our artist has changed this formerly powerful goddess into an object of desire. Venus is loved by the Renaissance artists. She is painted over and over again. But she moves from the temple to the bedroom. Venus becomes a symbol of desire, compliance. She no longer commands from above, but waits for her lover. Not all of the women of the Renaissance were content to wait for their men, and not all of the artists were men. Artemisia Gentileschi, the daughter of a painter, had sufficient wealth and exposure to study art herself. Artemisia wielded her brush with as much strength as Judith wielded the sword. This is an unforgettable display of power, both by subject and artist. The 19th century and Enlightenment opened up new ways of thinking, painting, and seeing, but not yet much more power for women. Male artists found new ways of expression, but also new ways to display their power over women. The depiction of a woman as chattel, possession, and sexual object is painted in a nostalgic and distant light in this painting. Does this nostalgia represent the desire of the artist to return to an older, more repressive ways? And does this nostalgia represent the growing strength and representation of women in art? The 20th century marks the ascension of the woman artist. Both in the East and the West, women artists restored power and dignity to women in art. The newly formed country of India is shown on the left as a many-armed goddess of plenty. Look into the faces of strength in the girls on the right. Though their gaze is respectfully turned downward, there is no mistaking the strength in their brows. Here is India's future. These new women artists introduce a new gaze into art. The woman artist invites us to rethink the idea of beauty, rethink the reclining Venus, rethink how we look and what we see. Are you repulsed? Look again. Frida Kahlo not only made us rethink what is beauty, she made us rethink what is art. She painted some of the most provocative self-portraits of modern times. Not only is Frida's painting great and powerful art, her life was also a depiction of art. She tells the struggle to reclaim her life using the canvas as her voice. I hope her noble brow inspires generations of women artists to come. And so the arc of power rises again. Women are reclaiming the right to be independent, to be strong, and to lead. Artists are changing how we see women, how we can rethink women as more than objects, possessions, and sexual fantasies. Modern artists lead the way, re-empowering women.